Simcha, celebration, Simcha, Simcha, celebration of life.
Hello, welcome to Simcha, a celebration of life. I'm Nikki Wallman. The Siyakhana Initiative for Food Security and Ecological Health is a dynamic collaboration of people at the University of the Witwatersrand in Johannesburg. Initiated by Professor Michael Rudolph, Siyakhana began in 2005 as an alliance of inner-city NGOs providing home-based care and early childhood development centers. Today, this 1-hectare food garden regularly provides these organizations with organic fresh fruit and vegetables.
Many gardens start off with a great deal of passion and enthusiasm and seedlings and compost, but they're not sustainable because you have to, like everything in life, continue to work on it, to understand the relationship, to understand the soil, planting and nurturing and making sure that it's got sun and water, etc. But each one is a building brick in order to maintain that. And then also you have to have a lot of faith. In our research at WITS in the School of Public Health, we identified that people were food insecure. We felt that urban food gardens could be one of the solutions. We spent many weeks and months negotiating with Joburg City Parks, and we identified Besaidnout Park, and so we've transformed a dump site into a flourishing garden.
On a weekly basis, it feeds 6 early childhood development centers with an average of about 80 kids. So we have got about 480 to 500 kids who benefit from our vegetables.
This field office is a very nice example of an integrated approach designed so that we could have a place to meet when it's really very cold or very hot. It's actually quite cool inside. We were actually prohibited from building any fixed structure. And so this example is the soil and the grass that you see outside mixed in a cob using ecologically friendly material with very minimal carbon footprint left behind. We have an example of a water tank which is harvesting water from the roof, showing people how you can easily and relatively inexpensively harvest rainwater, which is such a key aspect and component of successful gardening. The pond is not only a nice aesthetic feature, but it is a source of rainwater harvesting. And if you see these troughs that are running both down here and down the other side, these were designed specifically by a colleague of mine at the university, Professor Taik Benu, who is an expert in rainwater harvesting. And he worked out where the best runoff would be for the rain. Next to us is what we call the orchard section. Now, it's not a typical orchard because it has, as you will see, a lot of vegetables around it and what we call a guild. So there are peach trees, apple trees, the tall trees behind you are pecan nut trees, we've got almond trees, we've got lemon trees, we've got apple trees. So we've got quite a range where you see the fruit and the vegetables and the herbs growing together in a beautiful combination. The tree is keeping things together, keeping the soil together, and with a little bit of sun and rain as the spring comes, it's so beautiful to see the blossoms come up and it actually producing its fruit. And the tree itself, sheds its leaves, which then become part of the mulch and the soil that sustains it. And so the tree is an incredible thing. As you will see here, one of our vegetable sections, we are growing spinach, cabbage, onions, cauliflower, brinjals in a symbiotic way. We plant them together so that the insects often just go for one of those, so at least you can be assured of harvesting from the others that are not infected. A lovely thing that I once heard is that somebody said, which is the best time to plant a tree? And they said 20 years ago, but the next best time is now. And so it's never too late to plant a tree. My feeling is that others planted for me, and we in turn have to plant for our children and our grandchildren.
The Siyakhana food garden uses the principles of permaculture gardening and produces food and herbs to address the needs of hundreds of disadvantaged inner city beneficiaries. What was once an ugly patch of inner city ground has been vividly transformed using permaculture gardening and a great deal of effort.
When Moses sent the spies to see the land of Israel, he said, check the soil, check to see if it's barren or fertile, check the trees. And so it emphasized the importance of that as a fundamental aspect. And so soil is the absolutely essential part. If you've got good soil, you've got good plants. If you've got good plants, you've got good nutrition. If people have got good nutrition, then you've got healthy, stable communities. And health is not just the absence of illness, but it is a sense of spiritual, emotional, environmental, and physical well-being. And I think this project is such a good example of that. We're definitely improving the environment, we're improving the nutrition of people, we're giving people jobs and improving their dignity. And in so doing, we're giving people a real purpose. We put a lot of emphasis on the monitoring and evaluation of what we are doing. And so what Promise is doing is she's keeping a record of how many seedlings we planted, and then to see what the success rate was, and to try and identify what were the reasons for the success or the failure, and to not only address them, but then to share those experiences with other people. And so we want to empower people to be able to really grow their own food, and that's why our training is so important.
In the past 1.5 years, we have trained about 300 people in permaculture, coming as far away as from Eastern Cape. Gardens fail because people are not actually aware of the challenges. They just think that you just put the seed there and wait for the rain and things happen. But once they go through our garden and spend a week here, they know exactly what it entails to have a good and sustainable garden. We teach them things like topography, swales, how to handle the wind, the rain, mulching, saving water, and so on. These are the things that an ordinary community would need because they don't have a lot of water.
Fertilizer is one of the major cost drivers in terms of pushing up food prices. So we make our own compost, so we don't use any fertilizer. And so far we have demonstrated that we can still produce high quality crops, reducing the cost in terms of maintaining those things. Another colleague helped us design and build this ablution block, which has 4 dehydration or composting toilets. The waste is dried and then mixed with mulch. It can be used for gas as a source of energy, or in time as a process before it becomes a part of the ground and the soil, etc., etc. Matt Kroll is yet another colleague who has designed the solar system using cutaway Coke bottles together with milk cartons, which he has painted black, which heats the water in the tanks there, and our staff now are able to have a shower after a full day's work in the field. You know, the Torah is replete with examples of the importance of the environment, of planting, of growing, of nurturing. There's a beautiful midrash that said that God took Adam and he showed him the Garden of Eden, and he said, look at the wonderful work that I have created for you. Now you work at it and look after it. And if you don't, there will be nobody else who will then repair that. And I feel that forms the basis of what we're trying to do. Maimonides often talks about that whatever you see on land, one sees underneath the sea. There is a whole world underneath. And I think for me, what this project has shown is what is under the ground. The resources under the ground, the minerals, the vitamins under the ground. And what we're trying to do is to elevate those sparks through the plants, and that to ensure that the plants contain those vitamins and minerals and thereby nourish people and ensure that they can live healthy and productive lives.
And on that inspiring note, we come to the end of this week's show. Thank you so much for joining us, and please do tune in again same time next week. If you've missed any of our previous shows, you can find them on our website at www.spiritsister.co.za. And of course, we're waiting to hear from you, so find us on Facebook at Spirit Sister Productions. As always, from me, Nikki, and the Simcha team, shalom and have a safe and peaceful week.